Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome. This is the place where I talk about life and all that comes with it, and then some. Anyway, it's funny how most people remain the same throughout their lives, pretty much in a standard way, so to speak. But then there are those of us that we change as time goes by, as as we live life and experience things in a certain way, and then it reaches a point at some point where we begin to learn from the experiences that we have. And when we learn certain lessons, whatever they may be, it changes us as a person. Think of it as a natural side effect, I would say, of becoming a better version of ourselves, right? So, what will happen over time for those of you who understand what I'm talking about, and not only understand it but have been through what I am talking about, you will realize that people get used and comfortable to the person that you are to such a degree that any changes that occur within you that will reflect in a very visible way how different of a person you've become. It's like people are usually not okay with things like that. And the best way to explain it is they're gonna start, let's say you have friends, acquaintances, whatever, they're gonna start asking you, questions like, is everything okay with you? You seem different, you seem changed. It's like the questioning, the judging, the confusion that's going to, arise from things like this. Trust me, it will happen. It's a natural thing. People will react, especially if you change to such a degree that it really won't feel to those people that you're the same person anymore, even though you are. you're just you're just you're just different because things happen and you changed, and that's human nature. So, and then if you change that way in so many different ways, it's gonna get to a point where you're probably gonna move away from a lot of things, walk away from a lot of things, detach from a lot of things, places, people, experiences, you name it. Stuff that I've talked about here many, many times before in prior videos. And I've talked about this before too. The people that stick around, if anybody sticks around, those will be the ones that you will know. Those are your real friends, because they won't judge. They won't question. They will accept you for who you are. And that's extremely rare. So if that happens, consider yourself privileged and thankful to have someone like that in your life. Now the funny thing is when you, like I said, when you walk away from certain things and decide that, whatever you were living or experiencing no longer serves you, it no longer feels like it's a part of your life like it used to be. Because this is what happens when we change. I always use the analogy of the snake, losing its skin, shedding its skin because it grew a new skin, right? And that's what happens psychologically with us as people. Because once you change certain things about you, once you have a completely different perspective on certain things about life, of course people are gonna look at you differently. But what people don't understand is that even though some of them may be, hoping and still thinking, and let's say maybe even missing that old version of you that they met, and that's the one they liked. And in a lot of cases, they won't like the new version of you for whatever reason. They don't feel comfortable around it. There's something to them that just doesn't vibe anymore. Don't take that stuff personal. That just means that, they just don't belong in your energetic space anymore, and that's okay. It's part of life. It's like that video that I posted a little while ago that says people come and people go, and that's okay. It's just the way it is. And yes, it may be disappointing to a lot of people sometimes when these things happen, including you, because you may have known or met certain people that you thought they'd be around, they'd be in touch, whatever, and that's not the case. Sometimes when you choose to walk away from things, all sorts of things, you know why you did it. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't owe an explanation to anyone but yourself. But then, there might be some people that you may think, that after all is said and done, that they would still, let's say, maybe care about you or wanted to be in touch or whatever, and that doesn't happen. And that's why I'm saying, don't take it personal. They were only meant to be a part of your life for a certain amount of time, for very specific reasons. It doesn't even matter what the reasons were. And now they're gone, and that's just the way it is. There's no need to look back and to overcomplicate and overthink situations like that, because in the long run, especially if some of these people were people that at some point you deeply cared for, because it's okay, we're human, we make connections with other people due to myriad of reasons, right? It doesn't matter what the reasons were. We connect with people, especially if you're a kind, loving person, you're going to connect with people. But then, you change and life happens and all these things, and then you move on, and you're going to find out that this path of wanting to become a better version of yourself and changing your life in many different ways, it usually has this cost attached to it, which is a lot of us, we're gonna have this like lone wolf walk of life type of way of being. Because it's not lonely. It may feel lonely at times, but you're never alone. That's the thing, that whole loneliness feeling thing is an illusion that you put upon yourself because of how you feel about yourself. Because if you know yourself the way we should, the way we all should learn how to know ourselves, you're gonna understand at one point that, as long as you love yourself and you have self-respect, you're never gonna feel lonely. Because you don't need to seek for certain things outside of you to complete you, when all you need is within. And this is some deep philosophical way of thinking. And it's fine if not everybody thinks that they can handle these things and they don't want to live their lives that way. That's fine. But it's just the way life works. And that's why a lot of people, sometimes they don't have happy lives and lives that are truly joyous and all these things, because they keep looking for these things outside of them to complement them and complete them. And they're not doing these things. I don't know how to put this without saying it in a judgmental way. It's hard sometimes. But this is what people do. You don't do these things from a heart space. You do these things from a fear space, from a not wanting to be alone space, which is, like I said, it's an illusion. And when we start chasing things like that for some sort of like fake gratification idea, codependency, whatever the situation is, you can name it however you want. It doesn't matter. Chances are, and those chances are going to be very, very high, is that that's not going to work out in the long run. And if it does, you're going to have a miserable life. And I'm going to leave it at that. Take of that what you will. Okay? It's just the way it is. So people will fall off the cliff, so to speak, when it comes down to your life journey. When you start, experiencing certain things and seeing yourself from a different perspective than most people do, the whole picture, right? And yeah, at times you may feel this loneliness. That's not real loneliness. It's just like, it's not a pleasant experience to begin with. In the beginning, it becomes a lot easier later on once you adjust to that. But in the beginning, yeah, I get it. I know what it feels like. I've been there, so that's why I'm talking about it, right? We become this like lone wolf type of person in a lot of ways. And people will disappear from your life literally, and you're never gonna hear from them again. It's going to happen. Mark my words. It's way more common than you think. But that just shows people's, true faces. And that they were only okay to be, let's say, your friend, acquaintance, whatever the situation is, it doesn't matter, because they like they liked certain aspects of you and certain things about you. And the minute that those things went away, because like I said, we grow, we change, we get older, things happen. The minute that person that they knew doesn't exist anymore, or is very different from the version of the person that they knew, they're not going to want to have anything to do with you anymore. And I'm here to tell you, it's okay. It's fine. Let it be. You're not missing out on anything. Because as you change, there will be new experiences, new people, new connections. And it's all going to be a wonderful process, because you're going to meet people who are actually just like you now. They think the way you do. They are going to have a lot more things in common with you than you probably had with people in the past, because these are going to be the people who are going to be in your life to stay in your life. But generally speaking, people hate change, and it's just the way it is. We can't change that. And I've said this many times, but real love, real love just is. It just loves. It accepts. It never judges. It never put labels on things. Whatever that thing that people thought was love, when they're like judging and doing all these things that everybody else does, that's not love at all. You can call it whatever you want, but that's not love. And this is really all I wanted to talk about today, my friends. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you like what you hear, it helps the channel grow and reach more people. That's the whole point. That's why I do these things. I'm going to catch you all next time. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I'll catch you later.